Hi, it's Panda Movies here. Today, I'm going to explain the Korean horror movie Alive. Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Enjoy the video. The movie revolves around a gamer, Jun-woo. The movie starts off with him being left alone in their apartment when zombies begin to attack and the number of infected people increase outside of the building. He inspects the hallway when a neighbor barges in. The man begs to stay, but Jun-woo was already growing suspicious of him, so he keeps his distance. A little while later, after the man uses the toilet, he realizes that he has been infected and becomes a zombie and attacks Jun-woo. Jun-woo pushes him back and struggles to not get bitten. After the wrestling match that he almost lost, Jun-woo manages to push the man out of his apartment and immediately locks the door. He looks through the peephole to see what had happened to the man when an even larger zombie came to fight the man. Jun-woo stumbles back and begins to grow more worried when he receives messages from his parents telling him they are safe. Finally understanding what was happening, Jun-woo blocks his front door with a fridge and, being well versed in social media, posts a rescue request online. He then proceeds to check what was happening outside, so he attaches his phone to a drone and scouts his neighborhood, which was already overrun by zombies. Though the emergency power stays on, Jun-woo gradually loses access to phone networks, the internet, and running water. As he is waiting for rescue to arrive, Jun-woo stays alert and on the lookout. That night, he sees zombies devouring a police officer from his balcony. Thinking that he could try to help the officer by grabbing the attention of the horde, he only allowed the zombies in the hallway to be aware of his presence. The horde from the hallway barge into his unit. Jun-woo screams at them, which only led to the large zombie from earlier to break into his unit, knocking over the fridge that he used as a barricade, causing the food inside it to be destroyed. Jun-woo lures it into falling off the balcony. Hungry with no more food available, Jun-woo resorts to drinking liquor to survive, but hallucinates about his parents and sister due to hunger and thirst. As Jun-woo was beginning to lose hope, his phone network is momentarily restored and he receives voicemail from his family, recording their refuge being overrun. Enraged, Jun-woo goes out of his apartment and mindlessly attacks zombies. However, this draws a large horde around him and he barely manages to escape and back to his unit. With his last ray of hope taken away, he finally decides to end his life by hanging himself. As he is suspended in the air, he sees a laser pointer's light and stops. As it turns out, the signal came from Kim Yoo-bin, another living survivor living in the opposite building. Yoo-bin tries to help him by giving him food through a zip line. She attempts to throw the cable with a ball, but fails when it instead lands on the street. Coming up with a better idea, Jun-woo ties the cable to his drone and is able to set up another line, but this time successfully. It is also at this point where it is discovered that some of the infected are able to mutate and are conscious of what they are good at when they were still humans, so an infected firefighter attempts to pull on the first cable that Yoo-bin threw. The cable was still connected to Yoo-bin's table, causing it to fly across her apartment, knocking her out and lodging her towards the balcony railing. The infected firefighter begins to climb towards Yoo-bin's unit. Alarmed, Jun-woo tries to distract the zombie using his drone, giving Yoo-bin enough time to wake up, cut off the zombie's hand, and watch it fall. Wanting to be more useful, Jun-woo decides to raid his neighbor's unit for food. He was able to take a few, and luckily for him, his neighbor appears to be a mountaineer with more than a few equipment he could use. As soon as he safely returns to his unit, he sends Yoo-bin the walkie-talkie and the food he found. They were now able to talk more easily and somehow were able to bond. As they were engrossed in a conversation, the infected hordes become agitated and Yoo-bin accidentally knocks over a shelf. A group converges at her door, but Jun-woo distracts them by calling the unit adjacent to hers. Knowing that it is no longer safe if they stay at their units, the pair begin to lay out a plan of leaving their apartments to proceed to the rooftop and get the attention of the choppers that pass through their buildings from time to time. Yoo-bin tells Jun-woo that the 8th floor of his building looks empty and suggests that they head over there. Without wasting any second, the pair gear up and rappel from their balconies. Although with a lot of struggle, they manage to fight their way up towards the 8th floor, but the doors of the units are locked, and just as they were about to be hounded by zombies, a stranger emerges from the last suite on the floor and saves them. The man that had saved them appears to be uninfected and even had a lot of food stocked. He offers them food and water, unaware that both had been drugged, prompting the pair to fall unconscious. Junwoo wakes up tied up, alone at the table. He panics and begins to search for Yupin, who is also tied up and locked in a bedroom with the man's infected wife. Junwoo threatens the man to release Yupin, but he instead releases his infected wife's restraints from outside the bedroom. After a moment of struggle, the bedroom falls quiet. The man opens the door, only to find Yupin managed to wrap the infected wife's head in fabric. The infected wife attacks her husband, and Yupin shoots them both. The gunshots attracted even more zombies towards their location. With their last ray of hope gone and more zombies coming for them, Yupin asks Junwoo to kill her before they get infected by the virus. Junwoo hesitates at first, but sees the reason behind what Yupin was asking from him. Before he could even carry out a request, they heard helicopters pass outside. The pair rush to the rooftop while chased by the infected. As they are about to be overwhelmed, an army helicopter kills the zombies and carries the pair to safety. The movie ends with a voiceover by an anchor, explaining that wireless networks are being restored, and the military has begun rescuing survivors who made social media posts. Just like any other well-made Korean zombie movie, Alive leaves the viewers craving for a part 2. With so many possibilities that could happen after the dramatic rescue, it leaves viewers with questions like, where was Junwoo and Yupin taken to? Is the rest of South Korea safe? Were the zombies still evolving like the infected firefighter? One thing is certain though, there were so many people still alive and so many more stories to tell. Junwoo and Yupin's were only the beginning.